Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. Mark again here, Weatherman Plus. Now, our tropics are about to do something incredible and quite strange, actually. I'm going to go through all the information so you know what's going on. Also, what's going on with Debby. Remember, this is going to be a better day for y'all. Now, even though Debby's going to go offshore, it is offshore, and it's going to strengthen up still and bring some more impacts towards y'all once again, but it's not going to be for today. For today, you have the winds pulling offshore, so it should help y'all drain even better. Matter of fact, you should be getting hardly any precipitation today. It should be a little mild wind event, and today it's going to drain way better because of the offshore winds. Now, this is also bringing chances for tornadoes as it goes up the coast. I'm going to show you that information as well and what's going on in the tropics. Now, right now, we still have all this dust. We still have all this dry air that is going on in the tropics, and this usually leaves out as we start August, as we're going towards our La Nina. And I'm showing the dust, the dry air, is potentially going to be there all the way until the middle of August with a pretty good strength. But then we're going to start getting these strong waves coming off. And these waves are going to start forming up late, right over here by the western MDR. And it could either go right towards the southeast of the lower 48, go towards our Gulf, or once again become a fish storm. Matter of fact, I'm showing the first one coming potentially will become a fish storm out here in the Atlantic, but then we're going to shortly have others building after that. Remember, these tropical waves comes off one every 3 days. So I'm going to show you all the latest information in this video. If you've never been here before, make sure you subscribe. That way you get all the updates on everything that I just told you about. I appreciate everybody today. Hope you have a very great day today. Now let's get into your information. Now real quick, your temperatures for today, you're going to go all the way to 100 and 110 above over here towards the southwest, going towards California, also for Arizona and Nevada. But you can see over here for New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and some of Kansas and Colorado, y'all going to be around that 100 to 105 degree mark. Also northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas is going to be very warm for today, while you have the 90s start spreading across. Now remember, your heat indices is where all this strength is really going to come from this heat. Matter of fact, next week, I'm showing this is going to hang around all next week as well. So for today, you can expect the feels like temperature to increase more than what your temperature is going to be, especially for Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. This is all going to raise up a little bit. Now for tomorrow, your temperatures are going to be around the same areas, around the same temperatures. But once again, your heat indices is going to make everything stronger, especially as this starts pulling towards Florida, towards Alabama, towards Georgia. Now next week, this is going to hang around and stay just as strong. And those storms yesterday were very strong last night. So we did have a lot of wind gusts, a lot of hail reports, a lot of the rain reports. But we had almost 200 wind damage reports, and Ohio lost a lot of power. So far, Ohio was up to 330,000 homes without power. Pennsylvania was at 17,000, and Florida is already back to 38,000 without power, so they should be fully restored hopefully by the end of the day today. And Nebraska and California, 3,000 and 9,000. When we hit refresh, hasn't gotten that much better. 337,000 without power, and it's in northeastern Ohio. Now you still have Tropical Storm Debby impacts, and you see you still have the warning still in the blue and the watch in the yellow. That's because this is going to shift a little bit further to the north, but it will stay a tropical storm all the way until tomorrow afternoon, then start weakening down as it goes out to northeast, and it's not going along the coast. It's going more of an inland path, and the coast is going to be hardly any precipitation at all. Additional rainfall to come to everything that you have had. This is where it really consolidates towards North Carolina, Virginia, and heads north. But you can see also for South Carolina, you have 2 to 4 inches in all the darker green all the way to the north. But all this yellow is all 4 to 6 inches all the way to Pennsylvania and New York. The darker yellow that you see, this is all 6 to 8 inches for South Carolina, North Carolina, also for Virginia, and you got another 8 inches to 12 inches coming in for portions of South Carolina, but mostly North Carolina and some of the higher elevations of Virginia. So you still got a lot of heavy rainfall still to come. You're still under that storm surge 1 to 2 feet now all the way to Santee River, 2 to 4 feet from Santee River all the way to Cape Fear, then 1 to 3 feet all the way to Cape Lookout. But still showing as it's offshore, you're still going to get these feeder bands that's still going to go on land. And this is going to bring you chances for tornadoes for today, also for tomorrow as it heads a little bit north. So does the feeder bands. And this is going to bring you the chances for tornadoes to come with that system as that spins around for today, then tomorrow. Remember, these bands that come around for tomorrow from North Carolina towards South Carolina, those are the ones that's going to be bringing the potential 50, maybe even up to 60 miles per hour wind gusts with those bands as that heads further to the north. Then it's going to bring more winds towards Virginia in the northeast, but it's going to start weakening down. Showing the wind gusts will still be somewhere around the 50s for South Carolina going to North Carolina while you get those bandings going on. And you see how I still have chances up to 50 miles per hour wind gusts all the way through Virginia and some of Pennsylvania. But you can see how much weaker this is than yesterday's. Most of the higher winds will be offshore while it's strengthening. Still later on, it could pivot a little bit more and bring chances for low 60s. The latest with National Weather Service showing a lot of heavy rainfall, but you can see how much different it is. It's going more into a path like this with all the precipitation, and it's not curving around towards the coast. So you can see that you have your heavier swath of heavy rainfall still to come between now and Saturday. Anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. Some places still getting 5 to 6 to 7, maybe even 8 or 9 inches still for North Carolina. Still a lot of heavy rainfall still to come. Now you do have chances for tornadoes so far. You have a 2%. I'm showing it could be a little bit stronger. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for today. But you can also look at Colorado State University, showing it could be a little bit more for the coast of Georgia as well and go into Virginia. And it could go a little bit stronger for South Carolina and North Carolina. Now tomorrow, this is going to go up the coast a little bit and go into Virginia and some of southern Delaware. And they do have a 5% for tomorrow. I'm also showing this has a chance to strengthen up as well. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for tornadoes for tomorrow, for Thursday. And you can see right here on Colorado State University showing it could ramp up with more intensity for South Carolina, also for North Carolina and Virginia, and it could raise all the way into Maryland and Pennsylvania. And then Friday, as it moves further to the north, right here on the east side of it, you still have a 5% chance for severe weather. This will be for chances for tornadoes. So here's your cities and states at risk for chances for tornadoes for Friday. Now you can see the latest update with National Hurricane Center besides Debby. That little bitty area, chance for that wave to form never showed. It really had a good chance. I'm still waiting for formation to show up into this region. And I have taken my forecast a little bit further to the southern side. I'm showing we do have chances for something to come around, maybe even be a fish storm, maybe even be like Hurricane Lee, maybe go close towards New England. But shortly after that, the wave right behind it could potentially be the one that comes into this direction while we get an expanding high pressure, bringing everything once again towards the Caribbean, maybe towards the Gulf, maybe even turning late and going around by Florida and the East Coast. And just like I posted on my community tab yesterday, you can see the update on global tropics as we go from the 14th through the 20th. 20% chance of tropical cyclone formation over in this striped red and white line. Also, as this grows, you can see how it's a little bit further to the southern side into the Caribbean, but a 40% chance, more confidence in this red area. This is where we could have a potentially fish storm, or it could get a little bit close like Hurricane Lee and maybe be a potential issue. And I'm also showing after that is where these could go a little further to the southern side of this, get into our Caribbean and get into the Gulf potentially. You can see right here as you go still from the 20th to late August, just like what Old Farmer's Almanac is seeing, that hurricane threat for northern Florida and the East Coast in the 20s. 40% chance of confidence in the MDR, but showing that you still have a chance for these waves to form up further west, going all the way into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this is the same information that I'm seeing in the ensembles, but when I go by the potential velocity anomaly, where we have favorable or unfavorable environment, it's not matching up with all the information. So I'm showing that something incredible, more than likely, is about to happen, just like when we had Beryl. So as we try and pinpoint a time, you can see literally in 6 days with the control member of the Ural on the ensemble that we're going to get that strong tropical wave coming towards the Eastern Caribbean, and also showing that we're going to get a strong system, and this is where the high pressure releases back and allows this wave to still pull to the north. And now we're going a little far in the model data, but you can see that it pulls and it actually grabs it. Bam, right there. The trough grabs that system literally at 8 days away, 8.5 days away. And this trough pulls this further to the north in the latest run. At the same time, this is still 8-9 days away from this. So if it does not meet up with that trough, this can go further to the west. If this stays weaker, where the winds aloft does not tap in and reach up with this jet stream, it will not steer it to the north, and that would continually keep going to the west. So if the trough is not there and it does still strengthen, it can still go right towards the coast like this. The trough is what's abruptly turning that system. So we still got to know what's coming on down the road, because this right here is very concerning. Even though it's showing it could trend north, if it's not this one, the one after this one is the one that's potentially going to be able to go further to the west, because everything's going to start opening up for it. And you can see what the high pressure is already doing. It's already starting to steer. You see this? It's already starting to grow and steer things further to the west as we go into the 20s of August. So I think as we go into the middle to late August, we're going to see waves start coming either in this direction or all the way into this direction. Until then, we're going to have this potential fish storm that's going to be going like this. But after this, really going to have something changing in the tropics. Now you can also see that it still has a slight chance even on the potential fish storm. So this is 5 days away. Favorable environment. Something could form up a tropical depression as you go 6 days, starts curving. 7 days, the high pressure opens up and allows this to pull north towards Puerto Rico, towards the Caribbean islands. Now you're going 8 days away. Now it could either turn abruptly because of that trough all the way to 10 days, or you can see right here, it can still go to the west. It can still favor a westward push if that trough don't come pull that to the north. So you can see that shot here. Literally, this shot is 10 days. So showing that that wave could strengthen up, turn early, be a fish storm, strengthen up a little bit later and be a fish storm. Both of them, you can see the groups. The two chances this could more than likely turn, and that has been the trend, that it will more than likely turn. Remember, there's multiple waves coming off. And showing that after this potential is where that wave could go a little further to the west. And it's not a lot of members, but we have some members saying that that could stretch out a little bit further towards the west. And either go right up to the coast, go right towards the southeast, and a lot smaller chance that this could go further to the west. But you can see how everything starts to curve as we go towards the 20s of August. And at the same time, you can see how everything coming off the coast of Africa, even though there's a lot of convection over Africa, they're coming off strong, but they're ending up weak. So we have mixed information. So are we going into a active period? Is this just going to be late formation on all these systems, and we're going to be sitting over dry air and dust still as we go towards middle to late August? Or is this going to change? So as we go to the ensembles and see what the possibilities are, you can see right here with the GEPS going literally in 6 days, showing that wave more likely will turn, but also could get a sneaky wave in there, getting late formation right into the Gulf of Mexico. It all depends if they have dry air suppressing that chance. And as that goes towards the middle of August, you can see it in multiple ensembles. Here's 6 days with the Ural, showing that wave, showing it more likely will curve. If it don't curve sooner, it will eventually curve later with this group over here towards the coast, towards Florida. And not really a great chance, but also showing maybe later on another wave. See how that high pressure expands out? Could steer into the Gulf as well. So as we go through August, we're going to get these storms that's going to be turning potentially into the Atlantic. As we go later into August, these waves are going to reach a little bit further to the west, potentially forming up. And as you go into the 20s of August is where that formation could be a little bit further to the west. So when you try and find the trend, you go by the GFS ensembles. You see in 6 days shows that wave a lot weaker because all the dry air, all the dust, and showing it still could curve around. But look how it gets pushed to the west instead of that curve. Instead of going up on this curve, the high pressure is expanding instead of retracting. And it could go further to the west, either into the Atlantic, maybe Hurricane Lee, or in the Gulf. Still possibilities. And as we go towards the 20s, still showing more growth getting pushed to the west. So I waited for the update to try and get a trend. You can see with GFS still showing less than 6 days, moving that a little bit faster now. Still showing formation, still showing that high pressure will potentially push this to the west, or it could get stopped by that trough and become that fish storm. Still showing both options and maybe a late formation. Still showing both options on the table. This storm is either going to go and get pushed by expanded high pressure towards the southeast, maybe curve around towards the east coast, or it's going to be a fish storm. So we still have that option. Then after that, what could form up potentially into the Gulf because of the pattern we're going in where everything will be a little bit further to the west. So this brings us here, and we haven't seen this since last time Beryl formed. So when we look at our potential velocity anomaly, look towards our favorable environment. You can see all this favorable environment that's going over Africa. Strong storms, right? Even when you look over here off the coast of Africa, still strong storms, but when they get into our region, for whatever reason, the dry air, the dust, when it gets into our region, it is showing all the way into the first week of September that we're going to be in sinking air. We're going to be in unfavorable environment. Dare the words break. Because last time we had this little itty bitty anomaly showing right in the middle of all this. Dare the words break, we had Beryl out of that. Now, for Beryl to be seen a little bit ahead, like you follow this, you would have seen a lot of this. But it actually came out of this. So, last time we had a scene like this, we had Beryl. But once again, this is the mean. This is the control. But there's many members, all the way to 50. And if you just go by the first one, look at the difference. The first one's showing, hey, as soon as we go into the beginning of September, it's going to ramp up, and it's going to ramp up strong. But when you go by the other ones, you can see how everything is a little bit different. So what it's showing you is the average out of all of these. And some of these are saying something could form up right in the middle of August. You see that? Could be sooner, could be later. So it's still not known as far as the confidence. What I can see when I go through these members is that definitely as we go towards the end of August, beginning of September, is a more than likely where we're going to have a big spike. And that's normally when we do as well. But this is what worries me is little ones like this, that it gets pushed away because it's not part of the average, but it's a possibility where you could get something that could strengthen up right in the 20s of August, right towards us. So there is some that shows that possibility, and there's others that show that it's impossible. We're going to have so much sinking air. So you can see how you have all these factors, and that's only half of them that we just went through. So the average says we're going to be looking at this, but you can see how we could have something forming around that time. This could change. Plus the pattern that we're going in, this is your heat indices, just like I showed you. This is for tomorrow. You see how it shows that going towards Florida. As we go into next week, all the way into next week, look at this. And whenever you have that red, that dark red is all 100 to 105 heat indices. You can see this for the southeast. 100 to 105 heat indices with all this red all the way across the lower 48 on the southern side. As you go through this weekend, all the way into next week, showing every day, you're going to be in the 100 to 105 or above heat indices all week long. Look at that. All next week, you're going to be feeling like 100 to 105 heat indices. That is not going to be no joke right there. That's going to be some hot temperatures. Make sure you hydrate. This is next Friday. So you're going to be there all the way until then, feeling like this outside. Now, your actual temperatures will be a little bit better. It'll still be hundreds for lots of people, but it's not going to be for everybody. So you do have hundreds, but the heat indices is going to be the worst part. Still showing the same information when I showed you in last night's video when I told you that Debby was going to strengthen again. Still showing the same thing, showing you 52 miles per hour sustained winds, 60 miles per hour wind gusts offshore. Then it starts moving onshore and quickly goes down to 40 and 52 miles per hour wind gusts. Now you can see who's in a tropical storm wind field. So a lot of people is leaving it. You see this blue, that means at least 39 miles per hour sustained winds. You can see the feeder bands starting to come on for the coast of North Carolina. You're going to have a very easy day for today, South Carolina. Even though it's strengthening, it's not going to be no serious impacts on y'all. This should help y'all drain a lot of that water, whatever is left. Thank you for your time, everybody. Hope you have a great day today. Before you go for today, Jeremiah 29, 8 through 13. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed. For they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. I have not sent them, saith the Lord. For thus saith the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you, and perform my good word towards you, in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all your heart. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. I wish the best for every single one of y'all. And remember, all glory does go to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life. And forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.